Due to the riots at Lambing Flat and the lawless and rowdy image associated with that name, the commercial and pastoral community adopted the name Young for the settlement. Although no longer on the map, the events at Lambing Flat had an immediate and lasting effect on Australian life and political thought. Upon federation, the new federal government adopted what became known as the White Australia policy, and in 1901 the Immigration Restriction Act was passed. Although officially the White Australia policy has ceased, lingering effects of it remain today, 110 years after the riots at Lambing Flats.
Next week, more from round Australia in the National Roving Eye.
96:81 duration, 4 minutes replay. Kinney, man's home is.
In the Riverina of New South Wales, not far from Wagga, are two magnificent homes built by men of vision. Each is rich in history, and each is today fulfilling a role far different from that intended by its builder. A man's home is his castle, but at Greenthorpe in southwestern New South Wales, Iandra Homestead is more a castle used as a home. Perhaps it's a fitting monument to a dream held by Irishman George Henry Green. Green settled the property in 1878. He immediately began an ambitious land clearing project and was rewarded by high yields. By 1908, Iandra was flourishing and Green laid the foundations for the magnificent homestead. A striking building, it has a round turret tower and a high bastion tower, complete with battlements. The house was never used for the lavish entertainment for which it was designed. Green spared no expense. He asked his builders to do no more than swing one door a day, but do it properly. Hand-carved oak panels were used on the stairways. Perfection was Green's goal, a goal he must nearly have achieved. The dining room, finished in Queensland black bean, needs only a light dusting to bring up its French polished finish. Stables at the rear of the house were built on the same grand scale. Coachmen lived in comparative luxury in rooms above the majestic archway. Even the tiny Gothic church became a showplace at Iandra. George Henry Green never quite realised his dream, and on his death in December of 1911 was buried on a rise overlooking the house. But Iandra has allowed one man to realise a dream, the Reverend Bill Hobben, and it has become a home which has provided warmth and comfort for many boys whose origins are families shattered by divorce, children from the courts, or child welfare organisations. At Iandra, there are no locked doors or gates, no barred windows. The boys are offered the dignity and responsibility of complete freedom. Less majestic, but still commanding the title castle because of its stone towers and battlements, is Gaylong Castle. It was built in the mid-1800s by an Irishman named Edward Ryan. Ryan first settled in the Gaylong district in southwestern New South Wales in early 1830. He'd just been granted a total pardon after serving 14 years in convict labour camps in the colony. Ryan was deported for his part in an insurrection against the British forces. The original castle now forms part of St Clement's College, a seminary for young men wishing to enter the Redemptorist congregation. Because of his strong religious beliefs, Edward Ryan built a tiny chapel within the castle. Today, its small Gothic windows can still be seen in the upper floor of the students' library. Many of the early priests in Australia visited Gaylong and stayed overnight on their long journeys between Sydney and Melbourne. Rosary Hill took its name from the 1863 visit of Archbishop Polding, whose custom was to erect a cross on a hill near any town in which he stayed. From such vantage points, the Archbishop would bless the countryside and recite the Rosary. It meant Gaylong people had to change the hill's name from Bushrangers Hill to Rosary Hill. More than a century later, the ceremony is reenacted in part during the annual Maytime pageantry. The statue of the Virgin Mary is carried aloft in an awe-inspiring procession to a grotto on top of Rosary Hill. Two castles at Gaylong and Iandra, today fulfilling roles far different from those for which they were built.